So allow me to address my parents, who were born in 1930, went to raise boys on a farm. I was the kid who chased cattle and fed pigs and picked up rocks and drove a truck. And they had expectations for me, and I tried to meet those expectations, and I didn't in the end. And when I came out to them, I knew when they got the letter, and I didn't know what was going to happen. And it was so nice that the father, who had basically emotionally abused me all my life, called me and he said, for the first time in his life, we love you. First time ever. I'd waited 26 years before this man ever said thank you to me for anything. And when I came out to them in the form of this letter, he called me and he said, we love you. Don't worry about it. I'm not sure he meant it all, but my mother poked him with a pitchfork, and they eventually came out from Chicago to marry Clarence and I. My mother did the service. She did one of those one-day ministry certificate things for $10 online. Yes, but she was no preacher, believe me. The family, I think, probably didn't have a choice as to whether to support me. They're happy now, because before I came out, I was angry. I was doubtful. I was pressuring myself with medical school and self-hate. I don't know how I ever achieved anything. After I came out, this whole life of mine blossomed. I had energy enough for myself, for everybody else, to be a decent human being, to be respectful and anticipatory of other people's needs. I adopted children, we got them through medical school, became the chief of anesthesia of 18 hospitals just by the medical work that I'd done in opioid-sparing pain management protocols for operative patients. But it started with my dad saying, I love you, for the first time in his life. So no matter what went on before that, it was a nice moment of forgiveness on both each other's parts. It's not where you start, it's where you end up. And so we've ended up in a very nice spot. I call every night to their nursing home. He says he loves me. My mother says, I love you. I think they feel they came very close to losing me, because they had, at that time, several friends whose children had committed suicide. And so I think they projected that onto me. It wasn't true. I wasn't going to commit suicide. But if we hadn't made up, I could have done without parents. I was that determined at the age of 55. I could have done without brothers. It wouldn't be happy, but I was determined to be, that's how determined I was to be my own person. And it worked out really well. There's nobody that I don't get along with now. There's nobody that doesn't see the change vastly for the better. So kudos to a couple of old folks in Illinois who thought they had raised their kid well, and it turned out they raised him better than they thought.